Thank you very much. Welcome to the show once again. Now, you get ready to enjoy today's show because I'm excited about the guests we have. As always, the man with the documents, Abdul Malik Kwekubako. He's editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Next to him is lawyer Asan Kuma. And then by me to my left immediately is the Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, his MP North Tongue and ranking member Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. Next to him, that's to my extreme left, is the Honorable Alexander Kwamina Afenyo Marking. He's MP for Efutu and member of the Public Accounts, Defense and Interior Committees of Parliament. On the phone, we shall be speaking to the man who is in the center of, he's actually on the phone already, the man who is in the center of present news in Parliament, Honorable Mahama Ayariga, MP for Boku Central. Now, gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Newsfile.
Good morning, Samson. Thank you.
Right. Good morning to you, Honorable Ayariga.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. Good to have you. Good to have you. Now, we'll launch straight into the House of Parliament, and I'm sure that you are pretty aware of what has happened there. There's a committee that was set up by the Speaker, and the committee's job was to investigate allegations of bribery against some members of the Appointments Committee. The committee sat, heard testimonies, and took memoranda, and did in-camera hearings as well, and presented its report. That's the Ghartey committee, presented its report on Thursday. Now, it concluded that the Honorable Mahama Ayariga, who is the conveyor of that information about the bribery, was peddling rumor and could not substantiate his allegations when he was called upon to do so in the committee process. To that effect, he was pronounced guilty of contempt of Parliament and therefore was called upon to apologize and be reprimanded by the House. That's the sanction he was supposed to suffer. When he was called upon to do so, we know what transpired. Now, let's get into Parliament House and watch these brief interactions and come back to the studio.
Mr. Speaker, cannot therefore rely on the hearsay evidence mentioning two mystery members of the Appointments Committee. Mr. Speaker, in the circumstance, with regards to the first issue or term of reference, which is to establish whether First Deputy Speaker, Mr. Joseph Osei-Usu, took money from the Energy Minister, Mr. Bwacha Ajako, and gave it to the Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak Mutaka, to be distributed to the members of the Appointments Committee. The committee is unanimous that there is no evidence that Honorable Bwacha Ajako gave money to the Honorable Joe Osei-Usu to bribe members of the Appointments Committee. Furthermore, there is no evidence that this committee can rely on to lead it to the conclusion that Honorable Joe Osei-Usu gave money to Honorable Mohammed Mutaka for the purposes of bribing the members of the Appointments Committee or for any other purpose at all. Mr. Speaker, your committee is of the view that a multiplicity of rumors does not metamorphosize a rumor into a fact. Your committee comes to the firm conclusion that Mr. Honorable Mahama Ayariga is in contempt of Parliament on the strength of Article 112 of the 1992 Constitution, Section 32 of the Parliamentary Act 1965, Act 300, and Orders 28 and 32 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. The committee came to this conclusion because Honorable Mahama Ayariga failed to prove that indeed Honorable Bwacha Ajako had given money to Honorable Joe Osei-Usu to be distributed to members of the committee with a view to bribe them, but all the same published this information. Mr. Speaker, having established a case of contempt against Honorable Mahama Ayariga, as well as having examined the sanctions regime available, the committee, your committee, recommends to the House as follows: that the honorable member for Boko Central, Mr. Ayariga, be remanded by Right Honorable Speaker in accordance with Section 35 of the Parliament Act 1965, Act 300. That Mr. Ayariga renders an unqualified apology to the House and thereby purging himself of the contempt.
I have every intention to show you utmost respect and act according to your directives. But I'll do myself grave injustice if in rendering the apology, I do not point out certain matters that I also feel are important for you to advert your mind to. Mr. Speaker, in the first place, you set up a committee pursuant to Order 191. First legal question is, does that committee have the power to come to conclusions relating to matters of contempt? Does it have the power? You set it up to find facts and report the facts to you. Does it have the power to come to conclusions on matters of contempt which are clearly spelled out in Order 30, 31, and 32? Facts, not to conclude on contempt, because the issues of contempt are clearly defined in the standing orders. And so that is the first thing that I just wanted to advert your mind to, whether the committee can make findings and come to a conclusion that the provisions of contempt have been violated. That's the first question. Mr. Speaker, the second question is, they used criminal standards determining the burden of proof. Mr. Speaker, if you conclude that you want to use the criminal standard, then you might as well have, during the proceedings, used the criminal process. What is the criminal process? If you call a witness in any criminal trial, he should also cross-examine the other side, so that you can come to the conclusion that will enable you to exact criminal sanctions. You didn't do that. Mr. Speaker, if you say I should apologize, I apologize.
Even though the standing orders provide the process for rendering an apology, the Honorable Ayariga is a member of Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, I should request you, on the heels of what the majority leader suggested, that you probably give him an opportunity wherever he is as a member of Parliament to respond to the committee's report, rather than want to treat him like any other ordinary person. And Mr. Speaker, as was rightly pointed, Mr. Speaker, let me once again, even though the chairman of the committee and the honorable majority leader referred to it, paragraph 142 of the committee's report said, and I quote, "The committee took notice of the fact that the Honorable Ayariga is not known to have engaged in acts that tend to disrupt the smooth proceedings of Parliament." And Mr. Speaker, he could not have been doing this just on a mission to undermine individual integrities or reputation. So, Mr. Speaker, if you can give him an opportunity without wanting to further invite him to the bar, that will be appreciated. I thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to plead with you to accept the final recommendations of the committee and also the submissions made by the leadership of the House, and to go by Section 35 of the Parliament Act 1965, Act 300, which states that, and I quote, where a member is found by Parliament to be guilty of contempt of Parliament, Parliament may direct that the member be reprimanded in the member's place by the Speaker. In the member's place by the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my understanding of this provision is that the member is not to be called to the bar, but be allowed to remain in his place and the remand administered. So I humbly want to urge you to adopt this particular provision and to proceed to do so without calling the honorable member to the bar. I do so with all humility, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
You're welcome back. So that's what you've been seeing right there in Parliament, the things that occurred there. I'll start with the members of Parliament who were in the House on the floor on the night, and this was Thursday night. We understood that on Friday, yesterday, the Speaker was going to give his ruling after he adjourned proceedings. And somehow he came back to the House and announced that he would deliver his ruling in due course. We don't know when in due course is, even though Parliament, they were supposed to rise. They have had a week's extension. We don't know in due course will be next week or in due course will be forever. And as I announced to you already, the Honorable Mahama Ayariga is on the line. I'll start with the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. Now, what do you say of the report that was submitted to the House?
Well, thank you very much, Samson. Let me say good morning to our senior colleagues around the table, and good morning to our viewers and our listeners across the globe. My initial reaction when I heard the Honorable Joe Ghartey read the report was that of surprise, because I thought that the committee had gone beyond its terms of reference.
Okay.
Because if you look at the terms of reference that the House voted on and agreed when we decided to use a special committee pursuant to Order 191, the terms of reference stated, 1, establish whether the First Deputy Speaker, Mr. Joseph Osei-Wusu, took money from the Energy Minister designate, Mr. Boakye Ejako, and gave it to the Minority Chief Whip, Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, to be distributed to members of the Appointments Committee.
Right.
Then 2, establish whether there were attempts to bribe members of the Appointments Committee. And 3, look into the merit of complaints, look into the remit, of complaints and assertions made by First Deputy Speaker about the matter. So these are the 3 terms of reference that the House agreed on. So when the committee proceeded to speak to sanctions and to recommend that the Honorable Mahama Ayariga should retract and apologize, and they held him in contempt of Parliament and asked that the Speaker should reprimand him. I was clear in my mind that the committee has stepped beyond its bounds. That's the first observation. Now, the second observation, which needs to be emphasized, is that the memo that I submitted, you remember that I had to struggle to appear before the committee. When we, the three of us, Honorable Mahama Ayariga, myself, and Honorable Alasan Suhini, had petitioned the Speaker to set up this committee, I admit that when you look at the official records of the House, you will notice that, and I'm referring to the official records of 27th January 2017, you notice that whilst we were petitioning Mr. Speaker, you notice that the majority side had also decided that a statement should be made by the Honorable Dr. Ifriye. And so there was at least some agreement, I would say. And the Speaker proceeded to decide that the statement read by Honorable Dr. Ifriye from the majority side should form the basis. And also the statement read by the First Deputy Speaker, who was initially seeking the leave of Mr. Speaker to proceed to
take legal action
to the civil courts to take legal action against the Honorable Mahama Ayariga, and he was concerned about the
service of the process,
the serving of the process because of the parliamentary immunity and all of that. So all of that culminated in what the Speaker then decided to establish, that we should use a special vehicle. Order 191 says that, I quote, the House may at any time, by motion, appoint special or ad hoc committee to investigate any matter of public importance, to consider any bill that does not come under the jurisdiction of any of the standing or select committees.
Right.
So the Ghartey committee was established under Order 191, not under Order 28, 29, and 30, which deals with privileges. And that's where the processes, or if you like, I shouldn't use processes, I should say the provision allowed for the House to decide on whether a member or any conduct is in contempt of Parliament or breach of privilege. So if you look at Order 28, Order 29, Order 30, it spells out what constitutes contempt.
Share with us what is in Order 28?
Order 28 says that an act or omission which obstructs or impedes Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which obstructs or impedes a member or officer of Parliament in the discharge of his duties, or affronts the dignity of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce such a result, shall be contempt of Parliament.
Right.
Then Order 29 says, where an act or omission which constitutes
so
contempt of
Parliament. So
definition
of what is contempt.
What is contempt?
Okay.
Yeah, you know, the whole, the head note, subpart 2, deals with contempt of Parliament or breach of privilege.
Right.
So Order 29 says, where an act or omission which constitutes contempt of Parliament is an offence under the criminal law, the exercise by Parliament of the power to punish for contempt shall not be a bar to the institution of proceedings under the criminal law.
Okay. And
then Order 30 says,
Article 1, 2, 3
yes,
of
a
the
repetition of Article 1,
yeah.
1, 2, 3 of the Constitution. Then Order 30 says, the following acts or conduct shall constitute a breach of privilege or contempt of Parliament.
Right.
A, disorderly conduct on the part of strangers, such as rioters. There's so many. So it's clear that if you want to punish, if you want to carry out proceedings to deal with contempt of Parliament, this is the order that you use. You come under this cloak. So I would have thought that this committee, the Ghartey committee, looking at the terms of reference, is a fact-finding committee. So they should have just presented what they find out, the facts, as in the results of their investigation or the outcome of their investigations. Then after they have done that, the House will debate it. If we adopt the report, then we can now come under Order 28, 29, and 30. And then if we decide that we want to initiate contempt proceedings, or if we want to let those who have been found guilty of a sort, or if they have questions to answer, then they can appear before the Privileges Committee. Because if you look at our standing orders,
okay. So let me understand you. And I want you to be quick about it, so we can take Mr. Fairmarking, and then we'll go to the Honorable Ayariga and come back to my guest, Ace and Kweku. Now, what did you expect? You have spoken about the terms of reference.
Yeah.
You had expected that in the end, they will not submit any recommendations, they will not make conclusions. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I expected that they will present the facts as they have found out in their estimation.
Without any recommendations?
And they can make recommendations,
okay.
But those recommendations would now have to be subjected to proceedings of the Privileges Committee of Parliament, okay. Which is the committee that must make a determination on matters to do with breach of privilege and contempt of Parliament. Then we will have been fair to
so the Privileges Committee, this committee would have gathered the facts, as you say, and then recommend that because we find there are things that border on contempt or breach of privilege, it should come to you to deal with. And then the Privileges Committee would have sat as what, like a trial court or what?
The Privileges Committee, we have done this. If you go through our records,
wouldn't they be doing the same thing that the committee has done?
We have done that. At least there will be some basis, okay. because this special committee that was set up pursuant to Order 191 will have established some basis.
Okay.
You know, some prima facie evidence will have been brought. Will have been brought up.
Listen, there's a very serious difficulty there. Why was the special committee set up in the first place?
What was the terms of reference?
No, the rationale. Something was canvassed to the effect that the chairman of the appointments committee, who is the first deputy speaker, happens to be the chair of the Privileges Committee. So people wanted to avoid a situation where it will be perceived as if he's influenced. Now, so after all that, if you are sending it back there, he hasn't ceased to be the first deputy speaker, for that matter, chairman of the Privileges Committee.
An interesting intervention. Where can you hold it there?
If I can quickly respond to that, that matter came up. And this was the speaker's ruling on that matter. The speaker said, honorable members, in the circumstance, I will first agree that there should be such a committee established. Honorable members, with regard to this request, which is an appeal to the House, with regard to what we all know is a matter of concern today, I'm of the opinion that this is not just a matter of privilege of honorable members of the House and allied matters understanding Order 31. I'm also of the view that the chairmanship of a committee may not necessarily affect such a situation. In other words, a chairman may be asked to recuse himself in certain circumstances, as it is done in any corporate or other situation.
It wasn't done.
It is doable. However, I am more inclined towards standing Order 191.
Right. Thank you. Which, then that became
you are not
the
saying
basis.
This was the Privileges Committee without its substantive chairman.
The ruling the speaker made clearly then established the basis that, look, it's better we use the special vehicle to deal with this matter. I don't see how after dealing with it, you go back to the Privileges Committee.
But he tells you that the speaker says that was possible.
The speaker,
you only have the chairman recuse himself and another person appointed.
So that could have been done.
Okay, let's do it this way. Thank you.
If our standing orders had
let's do it this way.
To recommend sanctions.
Let's do it this way. Thank you. And because we have somebody on the phone line, let's do it this way.
There will be an inconsistency.
Let's hear the Honourable Fairmarking's assessment of the report. I'm sure you've had the opportunity to read the entire report, and what do you have to say about the questions that arise from the report?
I'm not done.
Yes, I know you are not done. Just hold on. Yeah.
Well, good morning to all our viewers and listeners, and of course to my constituents. We have our butchery around in May.
Okay.
So we expect to have a peaceful celebration, and we know that the police will be up in doing to protect all of us and ensure that the atmosphere is conducive for a peaceful celebration. Having said that, let me express my rather disappointment at the sudden approach being proffered by way of discussions with respect to the committee's report. As a matter of procedure in Parliament, after a referral has been made, the report comes to the plenary, and at the plenary, every member has an opportunity to debate. So the question is, was a report presented or submitted? Yes. Did any member get up on his feet to debate the report?
The leaders did.
Only two
I'm
people.
I'm coming to the leadership issue. There was an opportunity, and we were unanimous as a house that the report be accepted, and we voted on it. So it's become part of the record of the house. That is our report. We've accepted it. Now, having established that, let's move to the second issue, whether or not the committee acted within its mandate or acted in excess of its jurisdiction. My view is that the committee acted within the remit of its jurisdiction. They were asked to make findings, come out with findings, and by coming out with findings, certainly you have to make recommendations. Now, to say that this whole matter had nothing to do with privilege or had nothing to do with contempt, therefore the committee had no such mandate to determine issues of contempt, I would say you'll be getting the law wrong. Because you have an inherent jurisdiction. Whilst you are determining issues as part of your terms of reference, if you discover any matter which you think that would help protect the image of the house and that would help resolve the matter in one way or the other, you have every power as a committee to put so down in writing. Let me refer to the Constitution and Article 122. Although standing orders also repeat that verbatim. If you look at Article 122, Sami has read it. I would read it up to a point and then I will not repeat the entire thing. An act or omission which obstructs or impedes Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which obstructs or impedes a member or officer of Parliament in the discharge of his duties, or affront the dignity of Parliament, emphasis, affront the dignity of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce that result, is contempt of Parliament. Now, what was the conduct here? A member had alleged that there was an attempt to bribe or that there was bribery. Isn't that an affront to the dignity of Parliament? It is. An investigation has been launched. Now,
in fact, Order 29K is specific that if you attempt to improperly influence the work of an MP, it is contemptuous.
I will give it. Now, a body goes into that to investigate. NDC, NPP, 2 to 3, they come out, the chairman moves the motion, a member on the opposite side seconds it, and we all agree with the outcome. Now, if you contend that you should have left your findings there, not make any recommendation, then constitute another body. Why? Even in our court, we have case management procedures that when you can deal with a matter in composite form, you go ahead and deal with it. You don't do up to a point and constitute another body to now deal with issues of contempt.
So
in any event, Sami, hold on. You know, there are matters with, you have ipso facto issues or inherent issues that you can deal with. You don't need specific direction with respect to that again. That's a matter of law. And I don't fault anybody who would go in a different tangent. The point here is that even in our Order 28, 29, 30, 31, what is there is not about procedure in determining contempt. We don't have that as part of our own regulations or orders. Parliament does not have specific procedures to follow. It is always left for the committee to determine. What we have rather done is to define by reproducing in what the Constitution says what constitutes contempt. And then if you come to 31, we've itemized specific matters that in one way or the other would come under the general definition of contempt. So to me, where in a house, leadership, both sides, have had opportunity to discuss a matter. And the conclusion is that what you said, you could not prove it. Have they told us that they were able to prove? Why? You couldn't meet, you never met the first deputy speaker. You never met the Minister of Energy. According to you, your colleague, your chief whip, your leader had said that he had received something from the energy minister through the first deputy speaker, and same was given to you. Upon hearing a rumor, you went to him, you confronted him, and he told you that yes, indeed, it came from them. When the person publicly gets to know of your allegation, he says, no, I never met you. I have never given you any money. I never told you that it is coming from A, B, C, and person. Therefore, it cannot be that I have given you any money at all, or was nothing of that nature ever happened. At the hearing, you, Mr. Ayariga.
So at the hearing, at the level of the two individuals, more particularly, that is Joe Wise and Ejaku, the accuser himself admits that I never took money from them.
Exactly.
And that he didn't have any such thing.
So simpliciter.
But in his accusation, yes. But in his accusation, did he say that he took money from them? He didn't say that.
He never said so.
So why was that a matter for the investigation?
Hold on. You have put out a matter out there which suggests that there was bribery or an attempted bribery. You made those allegations against certain individuals.
Right.
You mentioned them with emphasis. Honorable Ejaku, Honorable Joseph Osei-Wusu.
My leader told me that.
Exactly. And your
he got it from
exactly.
Joe Wise, who also told him that he got it from Ejaku.
Exactly. Your leader says that he never did such a thing. Do you find yourself in a situation of conflict because you are counseled for Muntaka? Your leader says such a thing never happened. Simpliciter. You are unable. You yourself admit that you never met Mr. Ejaku. You never met Joe Wise. At the former hearing, you again confirmed that indeed, hearsay, all these things, I was told by somebody. Now, the thing now becomes a matter between you and your leader. Your word against his word. You have not been able to establish that allegation against the first deputy speaker. On that score alone, you are unable to establish. So if you are told, the committee comes out to say, look, you were unable to establish that there was any attempted bribery involving the first deputy speaker as a conduit and the Ejaku as the accuser. Sorry. How then do you say that you cannot apologize to them and the House? Because that conduct in itself, per the findings, could not be substantiated by you. Okay. And it's a matter of fact. Was he able to establish that indeed Mr. Ejaku had given any money to them through Joe Wise and his own leader? No.
Right. Okay, so
it is an attempt to get the whole thing muddy.
Okay.
There is a committee's finding as a House.
Right.
As a House, we are the masters of our own rules. So I even hold a view that if as a House we have passed this, it's become the document of the House.
And when you say this, for the benefit of our radio listeners, he's waiving the standing orders.
Very well. That we don't want to rely on specific provisions, or that the particular matter does not find space in any of the specific provisions. So then, as masters of our own rules, we want to now adopt our own procedure to determine for a fair conclusion. If you disagree, then you could come up with a motion. Okay, make an application to Mr. Speaker. that, look, I have perused this.
You mean that is when the committee was being formed, or
No.
after?
I'm talking about the post-committee work.
Post-report.
Because as we speak, we are all bound by the committee's report. Because as a plenary, we are not still at the committee stage. As a plenary, we have voted to accept the report.
Okay.
Don't forget that.
Now just hold your thoughts there, and that's rather serious, isn't it? Ace, he's saying that they have moved beyond the report to the entire House accepting the report. So the report is beyond being impeached. Is that what he's saying to all of us? That we can't impeach the report?
That is a fact. That's a reality.
I wish Parliament would do
and sorry, I'm talking to Ace because we have lost Mama Ayariga on the phone. We'll get him back.
I wish Parliament would do some of this self-introspection into its rules and applicability or otherwise when they are dealing with the ordinary Joe and Joanna like me. And when they haul us before their committees, we are not allowed all of these nice debates that they are having. You remember Black Rasta? He tried to talk about an album he had produced. He said, shut up, apologize. He had to apologize. Now, Parliament has got itself into a very interesting situation. And let me trace it in a certain way. They're right. The committee was appointed under 191, which gives power to appoint special committees. The House may at any time, to investigate any matter of public importance. So, to investigate any matter of public importance. When Parliament put its standing orders together, it created a lot of wriggle room for itself by the continuous use of the word may, which is empowering, therefore permissive. So Parliament gave itself the opportunity under almost every circumstance, I think may is the word that appears most in their standing orders, to wriggle out of their own rules. And so here, they are empowered to appoint that special or ad hoc committee to investigate any matter of public importance. Now, because of the obvious problems they had with it does go into a privileges committee, and let's look at their Order 34. Order 31. In all cases of proceedings where complaint is made of breach of privilege or contempt of Parliament, Mr. Speaker may direct the matter to the Committee of Privileges. So it appears that the Speaker is not even bound to direct the matter to the Committee of Privileges, the Privilege Committee.
Okay.
He could deal with it in another format. And so he took a flight to 191. So the question then was that, what was the mandate of that committee? Was that committee in actual fact sitting instead of the Committee on Privileges?
By the terms of reference, you can say no.
Wait a second.
No,
we'll go there through 164.
They were to look at matters.
Now in 164, which set up the Privileges Committee, 164(2), it shall be the duty of the committee by order of the House to inquire into any complaint of contempt of Parliament which may be referred to it and recommend to the House such action as the committee may consider appropriate. So when they get to setting up this special committee, the third term of reference is interesting. It says, look, apart from saying establish whether the first deputy speaker took money, etc., establish whether there were attempts to bribe members of the Parliamentary Committee, there's a poison chalice, which is extremely wide. Look into the remit of complaints and assertions made by the first deputy speaker about the matter. What were the complaints and assertions made by the first deputy speaker of Parliament? That he's been defamed. And he engages in a very strange procedure where he's seeking leave to sue. There's no legal procedure where you seek leave to sue. You sue, and then you go through the proper processes for serving a member of Parliament.
Right.
Yeah, true.
But he comes and complains and says, I want the speaker to help me. So the speaker, look into the remit. What's the meaning of the word remit? Sphere, ambit, orbit, scope, province, realm. Wide. Go into the complaints and assertions made by the first deputy speaker. So not only were they calling on Mohammed, you people call Mohammed. I still call him Mohammed when I knew he was Mohammed.
Okay.
Right? Look into the remit and complaints made by the first deputy speaker. Look into and do what? So they went and looked into it and then determined that it was false and determined that the person who made the statements which led to the complaints and assertions, not Muhammad Agariga's complaints and assertions, so the first Deputy Speaker's complaints and assertions that he's been defamed and accused of bribery. Look into the remit, the entire gamut of it. So, in my mind...
So, do you find something wrong with the terms?
Yeah, the terms, I think the terms were deliberately drafted to give the committee as wide a remit as possible.
Not to defeat what Mahama Ayariga and his friends had complained about?
Well, you see, that's what I said. That when they were voting for the terms of reference, I wonder what the members of parliament were looking at. Inquire into the remit, the entire gamut of it. So they go sit down. A part of their thing, they are checking whether or not the truth can be established or evidence can be established against the first deputy speaker. When they determine that there's no evidence against the first deputy speaker, they come to the place and make recommendations, therefore, that the person who made the assertions should be cited in contempt. What did Parliament do? Parliament voted. Voice vote. Now said to be unanimous. Okay, with a few soft nays. All in favor, say aye. Nobody called for a poll vote. So we could have ascertained exactly how many members of Parliament were voting for it.
But it was obvious, it was almost unanimous.
Yes. Now complaints?
Not almost, it was.
Oh no, I heard about 2 nays. when on radio, there was some mute. There was some mute nays.
Traditional.
Yeah, traditional. But the point, nobody demanded that. No, Mr. Speaker, let's not do a voice vote. There's procedure for not moving beyond a voice vote, even to a secret ballot. The minute Parliament stated aye, they had stamped the report with an approval. I sat there and held my head.
Why?
Parliament had done what it had to do. So when the rebuttal started, the question was between us, what are we complaining about? You, all of you, you, had unanimously adopted it. So even if there are complaints as to the remit of the committee, even if there's a complaint as to the remit of the use of the word remit, all of you stamped it. It became a fait accompli. End of procedure. You can't even go to court. Parliament, you claim you are masters of your own procedure.
According to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, unless there's a breach of the Constitution.
Exactly.
But you see the word remit. So is the Constitution, wait, are you going to go to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to interpret the use of the word remit?
Okay.
You see, so that is where, I'm sorry, both the minority and majority hung out Ayariga to dry.
Okay.
That's
let me speak to the Honorable Ayariga and come to Kubako. And we'll be interrogating the questions that have come up about the methods of investigations that were employed and the methods employed in evaluating the testimonies and the evidence and reaching the conclusions. You have heard Mahama Ayariga state very strongly that you made a process of coming to conclusion about contempt. You ought to have taken a certain route which you did not take. Therefore, you missed it. Now, as Ace and Mr. Marking make us know, it does appear that Parliament itself does not have any specific procedure for investigating contempt. What is it supposed to be? Thank you for joining us, Honorable Ayariga, once again.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. And thanks for agreeing to be part of the discussion via phone. I
first and foremost must confess... Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I first and foremost must confess that in between the discussions, I lost some of the commentaries being run by my good friends in the studio.
Okay.
Because you kept me on the phone for over 30 minutes, if you recall.
That's right.
I missed some of it because I had to attend to something else on the side.
Right.
So let me just give a general statement, and then you can repeat some specific questions that maybe those in the studio have asked.
Okay.
And then I can help out. I think that I want to be very respectful of Parliament.
Okay.
And also of Mr. Speaker. Because he said he was going to rule on the matter. And he has not ruled on the matter. So, you have to be careful what you say outside when he's yet to rule on something, especially when that thing touches on you personally. So I need to exercise a lot more caution than perhaps your panelists in the studio, because I'm sure the speaker is listening and the leadership are listening, and I just want to be careful.
Okay.
Now, at the very general level, I think that people like my senior is Ankuma have done some analysis of the processes in Parliament and drawn some conclusions. I think some of them are germane and some of them sound quite right about his conclusion on what happened in the House. But just to point out something that you should also be watching out for, review the clip of the proceedings in the House.
Okay.
You would have noticed that the copies of the report were being distributed when Honorable Ghartey was delivering his report. So the honorable members of the House only got the report when he was already on his feet delivering the report. I mean, moving the motions for the abridgment of time so that he could deliver the report. And that was not the process of delivering, sharing the report. A 50-page report, I think, or if not more. So honorable members didn't even have the opportunity to see the report.
Why did
they
only
vote
for it?
What he delivered while they were struggling to flip through to appreciate what exactly it was that.
So I'm asking that isn't it then very strange, like Ace was saying, that you vote for a report that you have not read?
Precisely, and that is why if you also watch the clip, you will see that when Honorable Haruna spoke, and after Honorable Haruna spoke, the majority leader also spoke. And then after majority leader spoke, and I stood up. If you watch the clip, you will see that I stood up.
Okay.
I stood up because I thought that there was a need to draw the attention of Mr. Speaker to fundamental legal issues and fundamental errors of judgment in terms of the analysis of the issues that were before the committee and the basis on which they were analyzing the issues before he would put the question to the House. So go and watch the clip. You will see that I stood up. But he did not give me the opportunity. And he rather put the question. So when he put the question, some people say yes, some people said no. But like you said, those saying yes,
the yes was
sounded
very
louder
loud.
than the no. So
extremely loud.
He said that the report had been adopted by the House. And I stood up again. And then I was signaled to sit down. And then he then said that I should come to the bar. And when he said I should come to the bar, then leadership said, no. We don't think he should come to the bar. He should be where he is, and then he should render the apology. So it was then the only opportunity
for you to speak.
To sneak in issues that I was hoping to raise if Speaker had allowed me, at least as the principal person that the report is about, to at least also comment. He could have also asked the other parties involved to also comment, but he chose not to. But I asked for an opportunity to comment because I rose up and he did not, recognize me. So whilst Ace's analysis about maybe, I don't know whether in his analysis he's concluding that the process was deficient or that by going through that process we had hanged ourselves as a parliament. I don't know what his conclusions are.
He says effectively that the deed is done.
Yes.
It is unimpeachable unless there is evidence of breach of the Constitution in the procedure.
And I think that to that extent he is right. He's right. And that was why when the Speaker asked me to apologize, even if I did not agree with the findings of the committee, I was bound to apologize because that is a decision of Parliament.
Right.
Because they had voted on the matter. So I'm bound to apologize. That's why I said, so if you say I should apologize, well, I apologize. But be mindful of all these legal issues that I think have been disregarded by the committee in doing its work. And there are also substantive issues about even the facts, their analysis of the facts and how they came to their conclusions. But those matters also are matters that are open to you, the members of the general public, to also analyze. I'm not the only person who is entitled to analyze those facts.
Okay.
You are also entitled to analyze the facts. Whether you think that the way they analyze the facts, whether you agree with them or not. For instance, he focused on rumors, saying that, a man said that he said what he said based on rumors. So you should go back to the tape of the public hearing that he himself held to find out whether during that public hearing I said that what I said publicly was based on rumors or it was based on experience. I don't want to run commentary on what
yes,
he has
but
done.
It is fact from the committee's findings, from some of your testimony that we can read, that you were asked questions, for example, that if you had interfaced at any point in time between when you got the alleged money and returned same, whether you had met Ejako and he gave you money and your answer was no, and whether you had met the first deputy speaker and, or the chairman of the committee and he had given you money or told you that he had received any money and you said no. So it had become a matter between you and your leader. Is that not it?
Yes. So now a diligent work would then have focused on whether what happened between me and my leader could be established by some investigative process.
Okay.
Because that is a chain.
What's your suggestion?
So,
because we are told that...
As I said, I don't want to run a commentary on the facts.
No, I wanted to suggest to you something small.
The speaker...
Something briefly. Okay, just listen briefly, and then Asu has a question for you. I was asking, for example, that my friend Okujeto had suggested to the committee that they could go to the CCTV and that they will find some things there. They said they have reviewed the CCTV. There's nothing incriminating in there, or there's no evidence of envelopes being returned to the minority chief whip.
That's not what is in the report. And
that, other people who had evidences to give or testimony to give, there was nothing in there that's corroborated, or as it were, could help to firm up the allegation. Do you take that?
That's why I'm saying that I don't want to really go into the analysis of examination and evaluation of the evidence.
Okay.
When I stood, I just wanted to draw the attention of the speaker to legal issues.
Okay.
And I drew his attention to the legal issues. As for the facts and how they analyze them, my conclusion is that everything that was done in Parliament was live and people listened.
Right.
Some of the pieces of evidence that they took was also live and people listened. Now, it is left to the judgment of Ghanaians who are interested and who listened to now evaluate.
Okay, you have said that, so let me have. You have said that already, so let me have Ace ask his question.
Yes, Mohammed, look, you are caught in a situation where you receive money, and well, you say you don't want to get into the merits of it, but this is something that has been agitating my mind, and also to Sami and all those who kind of confirmed that this took place, and you decided to return the money. This is 2017. You didn't put your phone on record and put it in your pocket and go there and say, I'm returning this money that you gave to me. It is this amount of money. I have found that it was through bribery. I'm returning it to you. There's nothing like that. This is 2017. You knew that what you were saying was going to cause a major storm. I thought that you cover your back. You find even ways of recording it. And I'm saying every smartphone has a powerful microphone. So why didn't you gentlemen do this and put this, maybe, and you may not, maybe you are up to something. Maybe you are not. We do not know. You and I know that when we get into these matters, it is what can be proven. End of story. It might be that it happened. It might be that it didn't happen. truth, as we know, may never really come out through any judicial process. It is what can be proven. So what agitates my mind was that when you gentlemen felt that this situation had happened, and you had those conversations, and you claimed there were confirmations, why didn't you put your smartphone on? That just beats my mind. I don't know if you want to answer that.
Well, let's assume that three of you sitting in the studio, you didn't have a recording device. And in fact, you're not three. I think you're about five.
Yeah, we are five.
In the studio. You don't have a recording device. And Ablakwa insults Kweku Baako Jr. And it is not recorded. And afterwards, the host goes out and says that Kweku Baako Jr. was insulted. And they say, oh, where is your evidence? The Ablakwa says, well, I was there when Kweku Baako was insulted. Kweku Baako says, I was insulted. And let's say the host says, no, I didn't insult Kweku Baako. Are you saying that because it wasn't recorded, even the testimony of Ablakwa sitting there, that yes, I was there, I saw and heard what happened, and there was an insult. Are you saying that in all the cases that you, Sankuma, has done in court, you've always had tape recordings of the events?
No, Mohammed.
As testimony to prove your case.
Mohammed, if you are going to
no,
shake...
I'm asking the
yes
question. Or no. Is
I'm
that
asking,
okay?
no, sorry, I'm not.
Yes.
You can't limit it to yes or no.
Please let me finish.
Okay, let him finish.
Okay. Please let me finish.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. Please finish.
As I said, I don't want to go into the fact, but I just want to, examine some of the principles you are using to analyze.
Yeah, it's an interesting example you gave, and I think you asked a legitimate question to him too.
Let me conclude on it. Please, let me conclude on it so that I don't lose my chain of thought. Can I go on?
Yes, please.
Okay. The reason why I use this analogy is that Ablakwa is sitting in your studio. Ablakwa says, yes, I saw the money being given. I actually was part of the deliberations. And I actually walked there and went and handed over my money. And I even think that my going there was covered by CCTV. So don't create the impression that assertions were made, absolutely no evidence. Say that you are not satisfied with the evidence.
Okay.
But don't, absolutely no evidence.
Okay.
So that is why I'm saying that I don't want the analysis of...
Yeah, you have repeated that enough. Can you just hold on briefly for me? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so can you now hold on there for me briefly? And then be brief about it. Let's hear from Kweku.
Mama, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that under every circumstance you should do this. But when you met, I believe, and decided that this is such an earth-shattering news and something you're going to do to shake the foundations of Parliament, one would have thought that at that point, you go overboard in terms of what you're going to do. Now, if you're going to rely on corroborative evidence,
but sometimes you agree that sometimes you don't think about what you are thinking about.
Then you lose the case.
Immediately,
you may be...
By impulse, all you say is that I want to return this because I don't want to be part of it.
But you return it and make a statement about it in the press, and I cannot believe that these three gentlemen didn't know what this was going to... how far this was going to go. So my point is that at that point, you take a step back. Wait, what we are going to do is big. What do we do? I'm just saying that when you're going to rely on corroborative evidence, that suggests that your evidence itself cannot stand on its own. So he corroborates you. They test his evidence, and it is somebody who must weigh and assess his evidence. Right. But if you have ocular proof, straight out voices, now you're going to rely on CCTV. They looked at the CCTV, didn't really tell us what they saw on the CCTV, put some words in there, and you and I may never see the CCTV. So in a sense, in deciding to take the bull by the horns, you got stuck on the horns of the bull.
Okay.
And really, so you can blame them as much as possible. That I sit here and say, guys, we will
deal a bit with the CCTV matter also. But Kweku, no.
I wanted to say something very fundamental, if you would.
Okay, do that in a minute, and then we hear Kweku.
Before the motion was moved, there was a motion for leave, considering the fact that the committee was given just a month, and that 1 month had long lapsed. The committee sought the leave of the House to be able to present its report on the basis that it did not seek the prior approval of the House for extension.
Yeah.
That must be noted.
Okay.
But
Yes.
it does not negate the point Honorable Ayariga made that we received copies of the report when it was being presented.
So, yes, the very first day
at the time we were asked to vote, we had not
didn't have
voted. This is a voluminous report.
It appears that you are...
Most of them didn't have
They
copies.
brought
And then
only
the
50
next
copies.
day,
They brought only
the
50
next day
copies.
before the discussion began, some of our journalists spoke to some of the MPs and they still didn't have it.
Yeah, but so why is there no objection on record? Am I so naive?
No, we got that.
Okay, let's hear Kuku now.
Excuse me, Mr. Speaker,
Let's
we
hear
cannot
Kuku now.
vote. We have not seen the report. I don't see you.
Per standing orders,
Okay.
when you rise, you must catch the speaker's eye.
No, did anybody write when they were moving the motion? No, that was after the report.
It was before the voting.
Ayariga only wrote, please. If you
sorry,
want to undermine the very institution you are part of.
No.
If you that is what
we will all protect the
no,
image of
you are not.
Don't
Okay,
play that
thank
card.
you.
No, you are not.
Let's hear Kuku now.
I'm surprised.
Let's hear Kuku now.
I'm
You're still
surprised.
here.
If you discuss
Sorry.
what has gone
You're still
on,
here on Newsfile. You're still here on Newsfile, and
I'm
this
surprised.
is your most authoritative news
Nobody
analysis
will
show.
undermine that.
No, but that's
The
what
first
is
issue we are
happening.
discussing is what has happened in
Stated
Parliament,
facts.
and now we're beginning to interrogate the matters that are rising as far as the report that's been submitted by the Ghartey committee is concerned.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Ayariga.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Ayariga.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, you see, the first and foremost, I really am at great pains, you know, when I receive calls these days from media houses who want to discuss the matter.
Okay.
Because, you see, your issue is being discussed and you have a difficulty participating in the discussion the way you want to participate because the matter is also still pending. Like my senior ace knows, if the matter were in court, we probably prevented from even discussing it because they said the matter is sub judice and all that.
So can you
People
do
have
this for
different
me?
views
Can you
about the
do
matter
can you do this
of
for me?
sub judice, but,
Just
you know,
hold on.
so
Just hold on
let me
briefly.
just say-
I
let me
speak
just
to
conclude.
I speak to
I want to
Kweku.
conclude. I
I
want to
come
go
to
off.
you to conclude with you.
Yes, I want to conclude because I have to go off.
Okay. If you want to
Yes,
conclude,
so
can I
I
ask
just
this
want to
question?
say-
Can I ask this question? Do you say that you apologized?
Pardon?
Would you say you did apologize?
I was bound by a decision of the House to apologize, and I apologized.
You
But
did?
I don't know whether the Speaker accepted the apology or not.
Okay.
I was bound by the decision.
It's a
Because
non-apology.
I said, if you say I should apologize, I apologize. That is on public record. That is publicly recorded.
So you believe that you apologize? An apology is supposed to be a regretful acknowledgement of an offense or failure.
No, if an apology is induced by a judgment of a court, you can do it whether deep inside you agree or not. For instance,
You're right.
if Parliament passes a law saying that you as a commercial pay 30% of your income as tax, I mean, when you go to the VAT office, you pay the tax.
I will
whether you
defy
are doing
them.
happily,
Mohammed, I'll defy them and go in contempt.
Okay, so since you are leaving us, since you are leaving us,
you must pay your tax.
since you are leaving us, can you tell us what you are going to do next?
There was a decision of Parliament that I should apologize.
What are you going to do next? We were told that you were going to do the apology, do it and do it properly. Is that what is going to happen next?
That is what the Speaker is going to probably decide on. Maybe when we meet again, he's going to say that the way I rendered the apology is not consistent with the decision of the committee. The committee wants me to render apology remorsefully, showing regret. It requires I lie on the floor and then say, oh, I apologize, or that I should keep wiping tears once I say I apologize. I don't know how remorseful apology.
Where's sackcloth?
I am bound by a decision of the House to apologize. Because my colleagues, 275, voted and said that they adopt the report of the committee.
Right.
And so I'm bound by the decisions of my colleague to apologize.
Okay.
How a remorseful apology sounds like.
Are you saying that you have abandoned? Are you saying that you have abandoned? Sorry, are you saying that you have abandoned your challenge? Sorry,
I don't know if you
sorry,
accepted it, but
sorry, Mama Ayariga.
On the matter.
Yes, I was asking, are you saying that you have abandoned the challenge that you raised about the manner in which the evidence was evaluated, the process of the investigation? You said criminal standards were used, and that ought not to have been the case. You should have been given an opportunity to cross-examine. You are not giving that opportunity. Are you saying you are abandoning this? And what do you say to critics who also say that this is belated, because when you went to the committee, you knew that this is what they would get to, and you didn't raise that challenge? At least an objection.
My senior at the bar is Ankuma, and I went, and I'm so proud of that. Knows that when you go before a lower court, it takes a decision. If the judge evaluates the evidence and say, come to this conclusion, but I will determine the next week. So go and come next week and hear the sentence. You have to wait till next week before you can decide whether will appeal or not appeal. So one speaker did not conclude them that day, but said he will rule on it. I have to wait for the speaker's ruling, and then the issue of whether the legal challenge to the process or some of the processes will be initiated will then be decided on. So at this stage, strictly speaking, we all have to wait. Speaker to give his ruling, and based on, because the speaker, as I said, can come and say, oh, honestly speaking, what Ayariga said makes sense. And as a lawyer, I've also gone home, I've looked at our signing orders, I've looked at our constitution, I have adverted my mind to the principles of natural justice, fairness, and the public interest, and I've come to a conclusion that Ayariga makes sense. So let's approach the matter this way. I mean, so at this stage, it's too early for anybody to be running into any conclusion. I will urge that we all show respect to the speaker and not continue the discussions in public and wait for the speaker to give his ruling.
But we can be sure that you will challenge the decision if it goes against you.
Oh, I'm saying that let's wait.
Thank you.
Get there, we'll cross that
Thank
bridge.
you. All right, thank you. Thank you very much indeed for your time. The Honorable Mahama Ayariga, MP for Boku Central, and man in the center of this current brouhaha in Parliament. And Phil Markin had mentioned earlier whether I felt conflicted. The truth you may not know is that I'm friends with the two of them. Very good friends with Ayariga as well. And in fact, I was doing a case for Muntaka in court, and Ayariga was Muntaka's chief witness. In fact, I can say that he's the witness who saved the case for Muntaka.
And as to confirm, you worked with me as well. So
all right,
I'm always conflicted.
Yeah, he's been a very good friend. Right, so let's hear what Koko has to say, and then we'll take a break and come back and deal with a few bits of it, and then move on to some other issues.
Well. Maybe Ayariga shouldn't be talking. The advice he gives to us perhaps suits him better. We should wait for the speaker to rule that he can talk. He was telling all of us to stop these discussions and allow the speaker to rule, so we can all interrogate the outcome of the speaker's ruling. He should be the first to, adhere to that advice. But look, my brother, for me, this whole thing, right from the beginning, was an invitation to embark on a wild goose chase. Unfortunately, with the potential to hurt the reputation of the legislature. Unfortunately, you're a member of parliament, you claim that you received 3,000 Ghana cedis in order to influence a decision you were going to take on a presidential nominee. At the point, and I made this case here some time ago, at the point of receipt of the money, what were you told by the giver?
they were under the impression that these were allowances that were entitled.
Yeah, that's what we're told.
By your own leader.
Is that how allowances are paid?
Yes,
The envelopes?
there's various formats.
Look, listen.
Then our parliament is in trouble.
There are various formats.
Listen, at the point of receipt, the man who is bribing you, it's a bribe. So he knows this money is meant to influence you. Why would he give you the money without telling you the purpose? Because you are supposed to execute an agenda. So at the point of delivery of the money to you, the bribe giver or the transmission belt, whoever, would let you know. Why would he give it to us allowance? If that's the impression you got, then it means there was no attempt to tell you what you ought to do. Get the drift. The man must make you aware why you are collecting the money and the purpose. And in this case, it's a criminal object, mission. He must let you know he's influencing you negatively.
Is that always the case?
In this case, it is so clear. Look, if he gave you the money and you thought it was allowance, what was the purpose he was going to achieve? Could he achieve a purpose of influencing you to approve a nominee by consensus? Because then that purpose is not there. It's unknown to you. You must know that, look here, this money is for a purpose, the specific purpose of actually approving this particular gentleman by consensus, though he doesn't deserve it. And in this case, we all know the man over-deserved it, he overqualified. And indeed, even if it was not his articulation and submission at the committee level, even in numbers, in terms of numbers, his side will vote for him anyway. So the motive, the incentive for me, for Abuachaja to have gone to that extreme is non-existent. But I'm saying at the point of receipt, if you were not told that this was meant to influence you to do something criminal, and you took it as allowance, you would have gone, oh, I've got my allowance. So you would still have been sticking to your position that this man must not be approved. In any case, eventually he was approved based on the fact that they came and provided answers, showing that was not a mission impossible.
And it was by consensus.
Yes.
So I wonder whether the three gentlemen voted for Boacheja in the final analysis. Did you?
They did.
At the committee level, at the plenary.
Yes,
at the committee level, they voted.
So the three gentlemen who made the bribery allegation
voted for him for
yes.
consensus.
I rest my case.
Both levels. So I really look this whole thing, as I'm saying. But for the fact that
evidence that we voted.
Oh no, your report said by consensus. The committee report by consensus. So that implies that you voted. Unless the report was by consensus. The committee report said by consensus. Unless you didn't. But they bulldozed their way. Are you saying
the committee?
If that is what happened, then I don't know. I'm not a member of the committee.
They reviewed their position on Osafo and from the majority decision to consensus. So this and it came to the
at that time, you see the sequence is important.
It's all here. The sequence is here. I'll allow you.
At that time, the bribe had been returned.
Good, but this is an interesting point. Wait a second.
Envelopes had been returned.
Wait a second.
I'm coming there.
You got to look at it very carefully. You are giving money purportedly to influence a certain course of action. You say, I reject it. So in rejecting it, you are saying that this man...
It doesn't even deserve.
In fact, he's compounded the situation.
Thank
he
you.
has attempted to bribe you.
Fantastic.
He's engaged in criminality.
Fantastic.
Then you go and vote for him.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Who voted for him?
Consensus.
The consensus committee voted.
I need to take a break here.
Consensus does not mean that I, Samuel Kujatu,
I need to take a break here.
Doesn't
I'm a member of the committee.
When you come back.
Sorry, hold on. Gentlemen.
There are portions of this.
I need to take a break here, and this is what I am announcing to you before I take the break. When I return, I want Ace, who is the senior lawyer, Markin, who is a lawyer. No, we are taking a break. We haven't finished the show.
Okay.
I haven't even finished my
I'm going to, and Kuku hasn't finished. When we come, I want you to speak to this article clause of the Constitution. Article 116, clause 2, says that whenever in the opinion of the person presiding in Parliament, a statement made by a member is prima facie defamatory of any person, the person presiding shall refer the matter for inquiry to the Parliamentary Committee on Privileges, which shall report its findings to Parliament not later than 30 days after the matter was referred to it. When we come, you tell me what your interpretation is on that. We'll be right back. I'll see you. But Kweku will finish, and then my questioning on Article 116, Clause 2 will be answered. Yes, Kweku.
Yes, so my brother, let me be honest with you. Post the presentation of the report and all these technicalities and things, they are all red herring. All red herring. Look, people appeared before the committee. We all watched it live. What evidence did they put forward to substantiate their bribery allegation? What evidence? Ayariga, my own brother, the memo he sent. What is the evidence? And I'm so happy my brother Sami is here. I had the opportunity of reading his memo last night. I was shocked to the bones. Listen, this is Sami's memo. Sami talks about 2 members. I'm reading.
Yeah.
At this point, 2 members of our side on the Appointments Committee then decided to verify from the chairman of the Appointments Committee, Honorable Joe Osei-Owusu, if there was any substance in what was making the runs. These 2 members received confirmation from the chairman that the money we received was not our allowance, as we had thought, and that the envelopes containing the 3,000 cedis each were from Mr. Abuachi Ajaku. I have been asked, what is it that prevented my brother from identifying the 2 members? This is an open thing. They are members of the Appointments Committee. Here they are. Now, there's another one. And I hold the view, that's paragraph 8. I hold the view that these 2 members of the Appointments Committee, referred to in the previous paragraph, who confronted the chairman, Honorable Joe Osei-Owusu, are very critical to unraveling the truth in this matter. Subject to the committee's willingness to offer them a hearing, I'll provide their names. May I add that the 2 honorable members have expressed their desire and determination to fully cooperate with your esteemed committee. Are we joking here? These 2 members, one, he declines or refuses or fails to identify them in his memo. These 2 members are members of the Appointment Committee.
Right.
A memo was sent to all members of the Appointment Committee.
That is right. On
Inviting
the 15th of
them
February.
That if you have something to say to help the committee, bring forward. Right. These 2 members, this mystery 2 members, as Joe Ghartey calls them, stay put. They don't come forward. They don't help the committee's work. And we are supposed to take this thing serious.
Please, just a second. Why did you indicate in your memo? Why did you indicate in your memo that you are willing to name those persons subject to the committee's readiness to hear them?
By the way, the committee had already written to all members.
When you knew that those members were already offered the opportunity.
They knew, and the members too knew.
Yeah, let's hear
written to by the committee.
What's your answer to that?
Those members,
yes,
and indeed all members, were not offered the opportunity as you are portraying.
The committee has lied.
Only some. And I'll tell you why. When the committee had its first sitting, they said that they will invite Honorable Ajaku, Honorable
Osei-Owusu,
Honorable Mahama Ayariga, and then close the doors.
No. They said you are allowed to bring memoranda.
Yes, the first time.
And you did.
The first time. That's what they said.
Right.
They said so.
They said that members may bring memoranda.
That's good.
Now,
which means all members.
Yes.
Now, yes, that is what they said the first sitting.
Thank you.
Are you aware that the only letter we received from the committee, and you see in this discussion, I mean, it's important that an Honorable Makin try to play that card as if some of us are here to undermine Parliament.
No, I never said you. I said there should be
wait. The only letter is from the committee.
Before I make that point, I just want to state that, look, we are committed to the protection of the image of Parliament and not to affront the dignity of Parliament. We are all committed to that. But these are serious matters and important questions are being asked. So,
okay, back to the letter.
I must respond. The letter we received from the committee and
I have a copy here.
I'll let you have a copy.
But
Was
he says he has a copy.
that we should hold ourselves
In readiness.
in readiness.
That was the first letter. There was a second letter.
To appear before the committee.
Okay.
That is the only letter I received.
Okay.
That's the first one. First time
The
before
first
you
letter.
appeared.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is why. And
that is outdated by this. And you there, you had a chance. You even went and then submitted a memo.
How did I get to go? How did I get to go?
No, you wrote and requested
I had to
it.
write. And I was only given the opportunity because Honorable Joe Osewusu had virtually defamed me. Said that I had told him. You remember? I had told him.
Can we be clear about this? The opportunity you are talking about.
No, this point is
the
important.
opportunity you are talking about is the opportunity to be heard in public.
Yes.
It's not that you were denied the opportunity to submit a memorandum.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
May I read
Okay.
the
Yes.
letter?
No, please.
May I read
If I can conclude.
Let him finish that point quickly.
The only letter I received was that we should hold ourselves in readiness. In readiness. Now, and that was before the first sitting. Then the first sitting took place, and we're told that no, this time it will be about memos. We are not going to appear. And you remember that. I only had the opportunity when
Koku's question
Honorable
is,
Joe
why didn't they
Osewusu
contribute by memo?
Yes.
Those people, why didn't they
stop
contribute?
The mystery too.
Yes.
You see, what Kweku Bako is doing this morning, he's not being fair to me. Why hasn't he read point 10 of my memo?
Oh, I'm going through it.
He just started.
Because for point 10, I mentioned a name, and this is what I said.
No.
I also further respectfully request that you invite the Honorable Neilante Vanderpool,
My brother.
who was in Honorable Muhammad
I have not finished,
Muntaka Mubarak's
but I haven't
office
finished.
when I returned my envelope containing the money, and therefore can bear witness that I indeed returned the envelope in issue to the chief whip.
Okay. Thank you.
What have I done? I've marked it.
Yes.
I haven't finished.
So
but
you choose to suggest
don't
that I'm not mentioning names.
Don't do that. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to him.
It's
not fair to him.
But what he did is fair to me.
No, what he did is
fair to me.
Listen.
If I just went on a frolic, just writing things without providing evidence.
Hold on. He was making a submission. He got to a point where he read the paragraph 3 or 2 of your memo.
So you asked me a question. Can I answer?
Why you did not name those people
in that
paragraph?
Yes, can I answer? So at least now I have established that my memo is not a nameless memo.
No, you haven't answered my question. Why did you not name those two?
These two told me that there is a possibility that this letter may leak or be intercepted by the media. They don't want to be part of the whole media discussion and all of that. They will want to only appear before the committee when the committee invites. And I said, no problem. Fortunately, when I appeared before the committee said that upon receipt of my memo, they will get back to me and even decide if I have to appear again. And the records are there. Appear again in public.
Okay.
They said, so that's so it was.
Thank you. Let me not take Koku's time from him.
So it was in respecting what the two had told me, that they didn't want to caught up in the storm.
Thank you. Now
remember, this had become a media storm.
Thank you. Koku, finish
so
up.
that is why I stated it that way.
Respectfully, let's go.
But Honorable Neilante, when I discussed with him, he said that he doesn't mind I should state his name. And I stated his name. So why are you creating the impression as though I just sent some unserious memo to the committee?
Step by step.
Right. It's my fault. I brought him in at that point.
I'm glad you've admitted that. Because here, I have marked. Paragraph 10, I've marked it. Because I thought that was important. And the additional point there is that why did Lee Nante not respond to the call for memo? He's giving you an assurance, prepared to defend you, substantiate your case.
Did the Ghartey committee invite him? Did they write to Neilante? They didn't. That's what they should have done. If they were,
I mean, you have made this point. You have made this point. So you have made the point. Thank you. Let's be orderly in the process.
There was a general invitation to the members of the committee, and the members of the committee includes Lee Nante, who knows how serious this matter is.
He didn't want that general invitation.
I didn't receive that general invitation.
Can I
God
tell something about
this country.
evidential procedure here? No, I'm sorry. When you go to quasi-judicial or maybe non-court, even the courts, the body has the power to determine the process by which it will receive evidence. it could decide that we will hear these witnesses viva voce, oral testimony.
Yeah.
With these witnesses, we want your testimony in writing. It doesn't make it any less testimony than the one who appears to speak. Sometimes when the arbitral panel or the other one, they read your written statement, they may decide that we want to hear you. Or no, you have said enough here. We will move in accordance with it. In fact, our courts have now come to that modern process of taking evidence, not specifically viva voce, but in writing. And so if the committee says that if anybody has something to say, send us a piece of paper, that is the evidential process. And so you cannot say that unless and until I'm given an invitation to come and speak viva voce, I will not submit my evidence. Then you don't have any evidence.
Right.
I just wanted to lay that clear.
In fact, you recognize that it was at large. You recognize that Muntaka filed a statement and told them that if they wanted him to speak further, then he would speak.
That's right.
If they wanted to ask him questions, he will.
And I expect members of parliament who were making this serious allegation to see some of these things we are saying here. It's so fundamental. It's not for us to come and sit here days or after the report had been submitted, adopted. First of all, the committee level was unanimous, and then the House too, majority. Everybody took it, unanimous in my candid opinion. Here we are sitting now looking at this. And that's why I say it's red herring. Now let's go back to another point. This thing about CCTV. See, the committee says this. Let me read that first. 80. The committee decided to hear the evidence of the 3 witnesses in camera.
Help us all to get there quickly. What page?
Page 25.
25, thank you.
Having listened to their evidence, the committee is of the view that it is in the nature of the evidence envisaged under Order 44, that is the in-camera thing. The evidence, if made public, shall compromise the security of Parliament. We are submitting the transcripts of the evidence taken in camera to the Speaker. Suffice it to say that the committee did not find the evidence helpful for its purposes. Now, what this means is this. Relative to the core issue of bribery, envelope being sent, the committee did not see that on the CCTV. There are other things. People are misconstruing it. That's why I'm clarifying this. But let me ask you.
There's even a public call that they should play that to the whole world.
No, I mean, it has to be what is relevant to what Sami said.
You see,
not the entire for the whole day.
Yes. And let me tell you something. Let me just tell you something. Look, that if the CCTV were to show my brother Okujitu Ablakwa going to Muntakai's office and holding an envelope, I'm sure the CCTV, perhaps, maybe I don't know, educate me, has an X-ray capability to see what is in the envelope.
No, but seeing that he's holding an envelope is good.
It's not sufficient.
Circumstantial.
It's not sufficient.
Circumstantial.
Take it from me. It's not sufficient.
Then he is seen with an envelope. 2 others or 3 others are seen with envelopes.
Do you know the number of people who go to the chief minority chief office?
That cannot be rationalized.
No, listen carefully.
That should lead to a conclusion that they really took money back.
Parliamentarians are always in possession of envelopes and files. Almost every day.
Envelopes and files.
Envelopes and files. They do business with that. Almost every day.
This is a revelatory
Take it from me. And now you know what? This thing I'm saying reluctantly.
Okay.
I'm going to say something very reluctantly. I know I ought not to say it based on my own limited amateur intelligence background.
You're right.
In the room, there is no CCTV. I ought not to be saying, because it's of security implication, that somebody could go in the room and hurt in and now knowing that there is no CCTV. Maybe they should cure
in their rooms, the MPs in their rooms.
There is no CCTV.
The offices, there's no CCTV.
So you may be seen entering.
This point was made when the building was commissioned.
Yeah, you may be seen entering with an envelope, all right.
But you see who was giving at what time.
Yes. So I can tell you that, yes, you came there, but you didn't give me any envelope.
That's why I brought the nil and did it, because I knew that.
But yes, so I am saying, that is why I'm saying, that even that path, there is a limitation as to how you can unravel.
I think that is crucial. Would you want to terminate your submission on that point?
Okay.
Now, Ace, Article 116.
Okay, 116 deals with, let's explain 116. To make sure that parliamentarians are free to do their debates, there's a general privilege that is given to them, the parliamentary privilege, so that they cannot be held to any civil or criminal proceedings in respect of things they do in Parliament. It doesn't apply to what they say or do outside Parliament. But then to protect the rest of us ordinary Joes and Joannas from the MPs going there to insult us and going scot-free, it is then provided that when the MP then makes a defamatory statement in Parliament under circumstances when the privilege applies, so I can't sue the person in ordinary court for defamation, then there's a process that the Constitution has put in place that then the Speaker shall refer that person to the Privileges Committee, and the Constitution states deadlines, 30 days to do it, 7 days within which to render an apology. Okay. So it is a specific situation meant to protect both Parliament and the rest of us. Okay. Will it apply here? No, to the extent that the statements were made outside Parliament. Article 116 privileges do not apply at all, let alone the procedure for exacting an apology from a member for defaming somebody. It doesn't apply.
That's sufficient elucidation.
When my professor has spoken, the man who taught me,
he doesn't like you calling him professor because he doesn't like too much school. He says he doesn't like that thing.
When my professor has spoken,
I don't take any responsibility for what you are now.
Okay. When my professor has spoken and they want me to, I think in general terms,
right?
Our freedom to express our opinion in a way is curtailed by this provision to suggest that you can't have it at large. It doesn't mean that you can say anything. But apart from that, even our own standing orders, if you look at 91, 92, all the way down there, it's clear that you cannot just say anything without grounding him on facts.
Okay.
So even a member can get up to say that, oh, Mr. Speaker, the honorable member is misleading the House. If you conjoin that with provisions on 28, 29, it gives you an answer there.
Okay.
That members of the public are protected. Other colleagues are even protected. Where you say something defamatory about another member as a member of Parliament, you'll be made to render an apology. Okay. A little problem I have is that when it comes to a member per 1163, where you are made to render an apology as a member against any person, you are required to come to the bar.
Yeah, that is so. Okay.
That is, but the parliamentary, the
Act 300.
That Act 300 says that the member, you stand in your place.
What is the significance or consequence of coming to the bar and not coming to the bar?
It means you are elevating them.
You are escalating. Escalating.
So if you go to the bar, it means it's more serious.
Members swear oaths in their place. So that space that you are assigned, front bencher, back bencher, is very significant in parliamentary proceedings. So Act 300 is saying, note, Act 300 was passed in 1965. Okay. So some of the changes in the Constitution, we need to reconcile the two. That if you are rendering an apology, I believe under Section 35, you render it in your place. But the 116 procedure, I believe, takes you to the bar. At that point, you are not giving the apology from where you are placed. You've been reduced to my level. So in asking him to go there, he was actually going to be reduced, and it makes him susceptible to many other things. It would have been an utmost face brushing if he had moved from his place. So they stuck to Section 35 and asked him to apologize in his place. The bar is more serious. I'm
tempted to say.
But you see what members of the public are saying. What members of the public are saying generally is that the House appears to be toying with this issue.
No.
That they don't seem to see it as seriously as outsiders even see it.
No, Samson.
That's number one. If you had come to the conclusion and you agree that conclusion is firm in law, the punishment ought not be a reprimand or an apology. It ought to be more than that. Are they wrong to say that?
Samson, let's understand it.
If you are a first offender,
let's understand
they can consider
in this situation, the defamatory statement was made against a member. And the committee's findings was to the effect that he was guilty of that, or that he could not even prove it. That is what triggered the need for him to render an apology in his own place instead of coming to the bar. If you look at 1163, that makes reference to any person, and I believe that any person does not include a member of Parliament in the context as the Constitution has put it. Because if it was to any person, if any person included a member of parliament, I'm sure it would have stated, because here it says where a member makes a defamatory statement against any person. That is not to suggest
we need to wrap up. We need to wrap up and move to other issues.
I was wrong there in this place. The reprimand is given in your place. I haven't seen a legislative procedure which demands that the apology also should be in your place. The reprimand is given, so it goes to you and the constituency. Everybody, you have been reprimanded in your place, but the apology I think could have been delivered.
Because the constitution, if I read, it says where the committee referred in clause 2 of this article report to Parliament that the statement made by the member is defamatory of any person. The member who made the statement shall, within 7 days after that report, render an apology at the bar of Parliament. The terms of which shall be approved by the Parliamentary Committee on Privileges and communicated to the person who has been defamed.
But there's still a lacuna, because
there is.
On the basis of the terms to be approved, can you quickly educate the public? We hear that there is an apology which is being vetted by the speaker, which Mahama Ayariga will have to read. Is that correct?
Mahama himself, Honorable Ayariga, when he had the opportunity, never said he's written any apology of which the terms are being discussed. But in all these discussions, Samson, we are not being fair. We are not being fair. Or that's specifically put, Honorable Ayariga and all others who are joining this allegation are not being fair to Honorable Joe Wise and Honorable Wache Jako. Listen, all your allegation is grounded on what your leader has told you. You never met the person, yet without doing your due diligence, you went out to put his name that he has attempted or he's being used as a conduit.
But you're recanvassing this
I'm not recanvassing, because in all these discussions, Sami, we are all politicians. Repetition is an important vehicle to keep you in business. So I understand.
A good name is better than riches.
I understand why Sami would want to so strongly make his point. I understand why Honorable Ayariga is still repeating the same point. But he's forgotten, or that they have forgotten, that they've also put out the names of two very respected individuals, two very respected members in our political discourse out there that they've attempted to bribe.
But they told the committee that these people, they didn't have anything to do with them.
Yes, but still they anchor all their submissions on what they've been told, and they keep mentioning their names. These people are hurt. They say, look, you've hurt us. Honorable Ejaku feels hurt. Honorable Joe Wise feels very hurt, because without you verifying, did you go to them? Did you have other means to verify?
Okay. You have to conclude.
I would conclude. Yeah. Without having any other means of verifying what Muntaka told you. You put their names out there. In any event, Muntaka himself says, he never told you that. He never mentioned their names. For nothing at all, you are supposed to, without any investigation, for him coming out to deny alone, it's sufficient for you to apologize to Honorable Ejako and Honorable Joe White.
You are suggesting that it is not enough that in the public's eye, these people are absolved. These two people you say are completely absolved because the person has come to the committee and said, we didn't meet them, we didn't have any interaction with them.
Without any investigation at all.
Let's hear Mr. Okujeto briefly. And so where do you think we are going to end up?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that my brother Fenyo Makin has talked about reputations. I must put on record that I will not bear false witness. I would not have corroborated the Honorable Ayariga's story if we had not met as a minority caucus of the Appointments Committee, and if we had not done due diligence. We met in a meeting chaired by a leader, and he instructed, let's go and carry out due diligence, further investigations on these claims that are being made. And we don't want to mention names.
So your point will be that. Your point will be that.
We checked.
Your point will be that.
So you are saying you verified.
Your point will be that your allegations, your claims are true, except that you are unable to prove them in a process like this. Is that what you're saying?
You are being unfair to the wives and
our allegations are true.
We might as well go to Antoine.
Then the point. Please, when you are speaking, I allow you to speak.
No, sorry. Let's. We have to wind up. We have to wind up. Sorry.
On the point of reputations, I was defamed during this process when Honorable Joe Osewusu said during his evidence when he appeared before the committee that I had told him that this was about equalization, which we made it up. That we made it up. Page 23 of the report. The committee concluded, and I quote, the committee accepts Mr. Okuyeto Ablakwe's account, especially since Honorable Mahama Ayariga had admitted before the committee that he had made that point about equalization.
Yes. Somebody indeed did.
But
almost something.
But that is where that is where it ended.
Joe Wise hurt him too.
Afeni Makin doesn't care about
so
my head.
If he is saying that
he doesn't think that I need an apology.
It's not a big
Nobody thinks that.
No.
The committee doesn't think
that.
Don't get me wrong. Don't play that card. Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong.
Then you see the point about my memo. These two people, what prevented the committee from calling us or even getting back to me after the memo?
But you didn't mention the names in the first place.
We are interested in the two.
Because the opportunity has been given
Honorable
to them before your memo.
Honorable Neilante.
Okay, so let's not go back to those issues. Let's not go back to those issues.
Were we interested in the truth? Were we interested in the truth?
Thank you.
Now, there's a fundamental point. There's a fundamental.
come and advise you to send a memo.
There's a fundamental.
Make the fundamental point.
There's a fundamental point.
Yeah.
That came up from Professor Esan Kuma.
Hey, what about that? You mean our Professor Samson and I are our Professor?
Yes, that in all of this, we are in 2017.
Okay.
And we didn't think about gathering any evidence. All I can say to that is that there are interesting days ahead.
Look, interesting days ahead.
Yes. If they hate evidence from the committee, it will be a great injustice.
So you don't worry.
So you have evidence that
but you heard that.
Look, if they did have some evidence
and you didn't trust the committee
to the committee and post presentation of the report, then I can tell you these are not patriots.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm pushing things out.
Now we are not patriots.
All right. Now we are taking a break, but before we do so, I want Ace to speak to us briefly on the method in evaluating the evidence that has been complained about. At least you have said that, the deed is done, we have moved beyond that, but people still need to be educated a bit about. He says that, Ayariga says, criminal standards were used. He wasn't giving opportunity to cross-examine, and you have ended on contempt against him. This cannot be.
I am not sure that I can see where he's coming from, but I think that Mr. Ghartey, the Honorable Chairman of the committee, said that they tested what he said by 3 known standards.
Okay.
He did not say that they were subjecting the matter to a criminal test. He said they tested what he said by 3 standards, all of which actually were not required. One is that they tested it in the criminal standard of proof beyond reasonable doubt.
Right.
And he claims they found it wanting. Then they tested it in the civil standard, preponderance of evidence, the weight. Basically, how much does one evidence weigh against the other?
Which one is more believable?
Which one is more believable? Then they tested it with the standard of a reasonable man, which evolved from the law of contract. Right. The man on the Clapham bars and became the man on the Medina bars. So I see he went into all of that and found it wanting in that circumstance. I thought that the committee went into some possibly. I think they were showing off a bit that they knew the law. The simple matter for the committee was to test the believability of the matter and to determine whether or not that has happened. But you see, the problem with contempt of Parliament is that I think that Parliament has deliberately shrouded it in mystery and controversy so that us ordinary Joes and Joannes can fall foul to it all the time. Who has laid the standard of proof in contempt of Parliament matters? Which decision has set out? We can tell that in contempt of court, there's the it's supposed to be quasi-criminal, but proof is beyond reasonable doubt, and it's called quasi-criminal because proof is beyond reasonable doubt, and there's a likelihood of a custodial sentence after that. What has Parliament told us?
Okay.
So what is the standard of proof in respect of contempt of Parliament? They have never told us. It's shrouded in mystery, and they hit us, the ordinary people.
All right.
So really, I think that the committee itself kind of showboated a little bit, but I don't think that it goes to the government of the matter at all.
Okay, as far as you are concerned, this matter is done.
Yeah,
Done and dusted.
when Okujeto Ablaka voted aye.
Right.
I didn't vote.
So we take a break here. We'll be right back to look at other matters, including
my voice was not in that
vigilante issues, Cocoa Board, and outrage, and what I say, the hypocrisy as well. We'll be right back.
I mean, they say you voted.